Good job.
I'm admitting everybody here.
Okay. I'm eating ice cream.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the October 20th meeting of the Oceano Advisory Council. This is we meet twice a month, the second and third Thursdays. Second is usually sort of in-house working meeting. This is also a working meeting, but we have more public comment at this meeting. Both meetings, of course, are open to the public. I think we'll start with roll. Treasurer Casalinovo.
Yeah.
Secretary Villa.
Here.
Vice Chair Dury.
Here.
And Chair Varney, and member at large Ernst is still in Europe, home next week. Our next item, I believe, is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Correct.
If you'll please join me. Ready, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I think since I don't have the agenda in front of me, April, do we have is Commander Klingenberg up next here for?
Actually, no, public comment for items not on the agenda is next.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, so at this point, the floor is open for anybody that wants to make a comment relevant to the OAC that on items that are not on the agenda this evening. You can, you get 3 minutes, and you can use the reaction toggle down at the bottom of the meeting page to raise your hand. Or if you're on the phone, you can call in and use *6. I'm not seeing any requests for public comment. So we will move on to Commander Klingenberg. Welcome, Commander.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you all tonight. I come to you from Riverside, where I'm doing some training this week, and I apologize for my voice. The training involves some yelling and some commands and things like that. So the other thing I'm embarrassed about is that because I'm in Riverside all week, is I don't have the crashes in front of me. I did have them on my desk. I left my desk, and there I can picture them right now in my head where they're sitting on my desk. So there was not. I do know there was nothing of significance. I certainly can answer any questions though, as I normally would on our meetings. So again, I apologize for that, but I'm here for if you have anything for me tonight.
Okay, so I'll look to the council. Are there any questions for the commander?
No, I do know, Commander Klingenberg, that we've talked a few times about that signage.
Yep.
Highway 1. So just
Yep.
is there any update?
Yep. I talked to Josh Roberts at the county, and he says they're going to be putting a sign up. So I don't have the timeline of that, but they're going to be putting the sign up. So
Great. Thank you so much for your help.
You got it.
I did have one question. Have you noticed, or has it been obvious that the repairs that have been done, or the road work that's been done with the pipes on Highway 1, has that caused any more or less accidents in that general area?
No, we haven't noticed a significant change either way there. No.
Wonderful.
Nope.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, no other questions? Then Commander, thanks for joining us, and Guess I just say, keep your mouth shut for a while and let it cure.
In the
called my
nicest
wife.
way
I
possible.
called my wife tonight. And she said, if your name wasn't on my phone, I would not have known it was you. So
Oh, wow.
anyway, okay, it's good to see you all. Thank you for your
All right.
service to the
Thank you,
community. We'll talk to
Thank
you
you,
soon.
sir.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Thanks.
Okay. All right.
All right. And so now would be the presentation for flood control.
All right. So Mr. Steele, welcome, and we're anxious to hear your report on the new FEMA map. So you can ask you to unmute.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take over for Joey. Joey was scheduling for us. And so my name is Brendan Clark. I'm the project manager in the loose sense for the FEMA mapping update. So I'll be starting our presentation off, and then Troy Barnhart will also get going. So I'm able to share my screen?
Give it a try. There you go.
All right, great. Well, thank you for having us. Once again, my name is Brendan Clark. I'm a supervising water resources engineer and here for Public Works Department at the county. And one of my hats has been being the point of contact for FEMA for these updates that we'll explain. And I also have Troy Barnhart from our Development Services Division to talk about what the effects are for property owners. With that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go through a bit of the background of the project, what the specific effects are in the Oceano community, how and in what ways the county has been involved in this process. Troy's going to go through what the effects are on property owners of the map changes, and a little bit on insurance requirements, and I'll cover next steps. So this project is FEMA initiated, and so FEMA is systematically going through and updating areas known as Zone A, and these are areas that are FEMA had considered the 100-year floodplain, or the 1% chance annual flood, known as the 100-year flood. And however, if you ever saw Zone A on a map, Zone A is uncalculated, and I would consider it arbitrary in some senses. So it was never modeled. It was just kind of best guess based on whatever information they had, probably a USGS topo. So FEMA is slowly going across the whole country and updating certain areas. And as you can see here, the Meadow Creek area in Meadow Creek is one of the few areas they're doing around the county. They're doing the Huehuero Creek and San Luis Obispo Creek south of the city. They're also doing the Salinas River north of the city of Paso to the county line, and actually extending into Monterey County as well. So this process began a couple years ago and has included new models with the latest modeling software. It's included aerial surveys, which is planes flying over and getting all the topographic information and elevation, so much more accurate than a USGS topo. Also included ground surveys where the aerial wasn't as accurate as it could be, review of engineering drawings, and more. So here's a little bit of a zoom in on the project area related to Oceano, and you can see it includes South Pismo Beach, Arroyo Grande, and Grover Beach as well. So a few of the specific effects, we have a link to this map here. This is a service provided by FEMA where you could go and actually enter your address and see if your property is in an area that's being changed. I know this map is not for details, but just want to show that when you do log into this map, again, I have a link at the end of the presentation, and we can provide that to your committee to post online. You'll be able to type in your address here, and it'll pop up, somewhere in the area. As you can see, though, there's not a lot of changes in Oceano. Now, there are some changes, so this is why we wanted to come and speak. But when we say here that 188 properties were actually removed from the 100-year flood zone and 27 were added, most of these 27 properties are actually north of Oceano in one of the cities. But the map here will show different hatches and different colors. And so if you see this yellow with the waffle hatch, that's area being added to actually the 500-year floodplain, which no insurance requirements for that. And then the purple and yellow without any hatching is area purple being removed from a 100-year floodplain and yellow being added. So there are a few areas of yellow pockets in here and along here that do affect a few residences. And just for context, this is what it looks like north of Oceano, and you can see most of the area being removed is in Pismo Beach, Arroyo Grande area. So what was our involvement? We provided local data reports, that's stream data, rainfall data as we had, and all the bridge and culvert locations, which for this study, there were quite a few, all the crossings of Meadow Creek from the headwaters down to where it meets up with AG Creek. We attended, I think, 14 different meetings over the last 4 years with FEMA, reviewing the process, their models, their outputs. We did request that FEMA do a combination of Arroyo Grande Creek and Meadow Creek because even with the gates, there's still connection there, and they declined to do that. So they focused only on Meadow Creek alone. That was a bit of a bummer. And so there's not really a connection to the Zone 11A efforts, unfortunately. And I think with that, I'm going to pass it off to Troy to talk about what these flood maps mean for individual property owners in the county.
Yeah, thanks, Brendan. So again, I'm Troy Barnhart with Public Works Development Services Division. We work with property owners to handle questions regarding FEMA flood insurance, as well as process and review applications for development, like building permits or use permits. And as Brendan explained, we are in this area, there haven't been that many changes, but I'm hoping to still provide an overview of what development in the flood zone looks like here at the county and some of the requirements for that, as well as a kind of a review of insurance requirements for if anybody from the 5 properties, I think in Oceano, that might be affected by that if any of them are on the call. So Brendan, if you'll go to the next slide, please. So generally, if a property is mapped within a flood zone and you'd like to come in to develop or redevelop the property, if it's an existing structure and you're just trying to remodel or add to it, the property only needs to be brought up to flood construction standards if your proposed development, if the cost of that proposed addition or remodel is greater than 50% of the pre-construction value of the structure. And if you were to be over that threshold, the entire structure would have to be brought up to flood construction standards. Usually that involves elevating the structure up above the flood elevation. And then of course, if you're putting down a new structure in a flood zone, it must meet the flood construction standards or be required to be elevated and the like. So to give you a brief overview of the county's flood construction standards, generally, the county does not allow flood proofing for residential structures. The bottom floor of the residence must be elevated up above the flood elevation. If you do have a non-residential structure, a garage, I don't think there are many barns in Oceano, but or a non-commercial, or excuse me, like a commercial business or something, you can do flood proofing, but the structure still needs to be up a couple feet above the ground around it. And something that has come up on some of the permits that we've processed in Oceano within the last couple of years are that utilities also need to be elevated. We've had some issues with water heaters, air conditioning units and stuff being placed at the ground, even though they needed to be a couple feet up and having to get it fixed after the fact. But generally, you'll have this for your reference with this presentation if you are looking to, if your property is in a flood zone, you're looking to come in. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is insurance requirements. If you already are in a flood zone in Oceano, you're probably already familiar with whether or not you need flood insurance. But generally, if you have a federally backed mortgage and your property is within one of these mapped flood zones, you will be required to carry flood insurance for the term of that mortgage. If you own your house outright, or in the very unlikely case you do not have a federally backed mortgage, you do not have to get flood insurance. It might be a good idea. But the insurance requirement stands if you have a federally backed mortgage. And generally that only goes into effect when you increase your mortgage, get a new mortgage, refinance, et cetera, something like that. If you are being brought into the flood zone and you're not going to do any of those things, you're not going to be required to immediately go get insurance or anything like that. The other thing I want to talk about real quickly are elevation certificates. The county requires these when new homes are built in the flood zone. And if your house is built probably in the last 30 years, the county probably has one on file for you. But if you don't, or if your house is older than that and you are in a flood zone, it might be to your benefit to get one of those prepared by a surveyor. Basically, a surveyor comes out and looks at the elevation of your house. And if you are above the flood elevation, you can send that in to FEMA and you will be able to get out of you'll be relieved of the need to get flood insurance. Or if you choose to get flood insurance, it will be cheaper for you. So if there are any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them either at the end of the presentation or my contact information will be at the end of the presentation and you can always follow up with our office.
Awesome, thanks, Troy. So one thing I want to note about these maps is they are preliminary. And so they're released in September, and that started a 90-day appeal period. And so this is why we're going around and reviewing the maps. Appeals do need to be submitted though by the county and be technically based. And it has to be on a regional scale. So if it's like an individual property issue, that's not solved through the appeal. FEMA has a separate process, like Troy just mentioned, with an elevation certificate. But in this case, I don't think we'll be submitting an appeal related to Oceano and Meadow Creek, really. So we'll be looking for the final map being released in spring of 2023, and then it would become effective at the end of 2023, 6 months later. And again, I've got a bunch of links here, including the interactive GIS map. So we'll get this sent out to the chair of the committee to get posted and sent out. And we have, here are Troy and I's contact information, and we'd be happy to answer any questions and go from there.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So again, if you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand. I'll take chair privilege to just lead off with a quick one for clarification, Brendan or Troy. I wasn't sure whether the fact that FEMA would not combine Meadow and Arroyo Grande Creeks, does that mean that we don't really have the data for Arroyo Grande Creek, which is really what Oceano is about?
So that's a good question. I would note that Arroyo Grande Creek is already calculated as a zone, what's called AE. So those flood elevations are already known and calculated. So it doesn't need to be recalculated by FEMA, where the upper reaches of Meadow, kind of where Meadow Creek before it comes to the ocean there at South Pismo, is what's known as Zone A, which is the uncalculated. So Arroyo Grande Creek is already calculated. That's probably the easiest way to say that part's already done. Now I will add, if the project that's being worked on right now related to Meadow Creek and the flap gates, if anything is constructed there and when that construction is complete, I'm sure that means the flood zone has changed and the county would need to submit all of that information to FEMA for that to be reflected in the maps, but that's only after construction is complete.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the all of the sort of geo-environmental engineering that's been going on for a few years now in Arroyo Grande Creek, as I understand it, has raised the north side of the levee, maybe a bit more, and some raising on the south side of the levee, but in essence, the south side of the levee is lower so that the flood will go into the ag fields, not into the trailer parks.
Yes, that's my understanding. That doesn't mean though that the localized flooding from the drainage that's coming down the community and really on the north side of the levee can all get out. But correct, with the creek, if the creek is going to overflow, the design of the project is now the creek is going to overflow to the south.
So the catchment basins with their pumps to pump into Arroyo Grande Creek, if the creek's way up high, those pipes have no daylight to the creek, right?
Now, I don't know about the specific pumps or anything.
Okay.
I didn't know that there were pumps there. I thought they were just pipes. So I might be a little out of my comfort zone since I don't work zone 11A. But yeah, you guys honestly might know more about that specific drainage system more than me.
Already. And then finally, the airport, is it in or out of the flood zone?
The map is showing it as in.
The 100 year?
Correct.
Okay, already. Thank you.
Yes.
I'll go to Vice Chair Dury. Go ahead and unmute.
I apologize. Some lunatic on a motorcycle is running through my neighborhood. I apologize. The question that I had is, what other agencies or entities are you providing this report to? Because you've mentioned Arroyo Grande and you've mentioned north of Oceano. So like what other agencies and or entities is my question.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the coordinator for the county side, and FEMA has also reached out to the public works departments directly of Grover, AG, and Pismo. In regards to the other areas, they're all in unincorporated areas. So we've done, this is our third advisory board council visit. We're going to San Miguel next week. We've already done Avila Valley and Creston. We've also, let Zone 9 know, since Zone 9 is, San Luis Obispo Creek, the entire watershed. So we've been going to other places, but as far as the other agencies, FEMA has been reaching out to them directly. So if Pismo Beach thinks that FEMA technically made an error related to their part, they could submit an appeal directly for that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Okay. Secretary Villa.
Yes, you
Hi,
mentioned
Eileen.
five homes will be affected only in Oceano. Was that correct?
I don't know if Troy counted them specifically, but I have not, but it is not many. So but I don't know if Troy counted them specifically. I'll let him answer that.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
188 or something, that's just like the whole area, not just.
Yeah, actually the
Oceano.
188 is removed. So this work actually removed, there's
Oh,
a net of 160 properties coming out of the flood zone based on this work.
so then they will no
between-
longer, will be required to pay flood insurance. So that's good news for them because it's kind of expensive, I understand.
For those 180, yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the public? All right, gentlemen, Brendan, Troy, Joey, thank you very much for taking time to come down and keep our community informed. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having us. And Mr. Varney, we'll get you this presentation so you can get it posted on your website. And anyone is welcome to contact Troy or I about this process and any issues related to flooding and planning like that. If it's specific to Zone 11A, maybe contact them. But as far as this process, feel free to contact us. Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good rest of your evening.
You as well.
Okay, next up, April, where are we at on the agenda?
Can't hear.
I need you to unmute. We need you to unmute.
I'm getting there. I'm sorry, I had to switch computers. We were gonna do a review of the minutes at this point.
Okay, thank you. So the minutes from the last meeting have been circulated. Are there any needs for modifications or additions to the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay,
A second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Next up,
Would be the OAC donation to the Oceano Elementary School.
wait, we have, we should,
That's
that's new business, and we have one
Yeah.
other item of new business.
Do you want to do the Perry referral first?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
it's
let's
not
do
the order it
Mr.
was,
Mr.
but sure, we can
Perry's
do it first.
first.
Okay, so
Okay,
that would be the vacation, oh, I'm sorry, the Perry referral. And I'm sure that there's, the county is here, so if you want to.
okay, so I'm gonna share my screen here. And Mr. Perry, thank you for coming to the meeting tonight. Nice to have you. And so as I understand this, maybe you can just why don't you just give us a little description of what's going on for you and for your family in terms of this home, and is this like a new purchase for you, or have you had this for a long time, or kind of what's the situation?
Well, thank you for having me, Charles. I appreciate the opportunity to come to the meeting and talk with you guys. My wife and I had bought this property September 2019. Obviously in hopes of using the property quite frequently. We have young girls, 7 and 4. So we come over often and we share a lot of great memories with our family. We're very fortunate that my folks own the place next door, and they've had the property for, probably north of about 15 years. So we've had incredible experiences in the Central Coast, and shared a lot of great memories with friends and family, and we're wanting to bring that to other families as well. Hence why we want to have the short-term rental available to us and the permits. Obviously, when we're not over here, we just like to help supplement the payment and so forth, and bring good people to the local area and share great restaurants and memories and golf and just share that with other people.
Okay. So are you aware that of the vacation rental ordinance that this advisory council is going to be proposing to the county?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, all right. And so one of the things that's in our proposal is that the minor use permit does not go along with the sale of the property.
Okay.
And this ordinance has not even been, or proposed ordinance has not yet been submitted to the county. It would have to go through a full review by the Planning Commission. It would have to go to a Planning Commission hearing. It would probably be appealed, and it would go to the Board of Supervisors. Oceano is the only community that does not have a vacation rental ordinance in the beach communities and incorporated cities of San Luis Obispo County. And the one that we have put together is not significantly different, although it does allow, we're recommending that vacation rental owners be able to rent their property 8 times a month rather than just 4 times a month.
Okay.
So I just wanted to kind of disclose that to you if you didn't know that. And the latest iteration of this ordinance was posted today based on public comment that we received over 2 lengthy meetings with the public. last month. Okay, so April, you have a comment?
I just real quick, Charles, to correct maybe if I could, that the minor use permit stays with the land. That never goes away. Once
Oh,
that
I'm
land,
sorry.
that's all. That's the only reason I raised my hand.
Okay. So, yeah, so it's a vacation rental. The license that doesn't stay with the property.
The license is
I
per
misspoke
owner.
there.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
We have no intentions of selling the property.
Mhm.
But say in 20, 30 years that change, is there an opportunity to tie it to the property, or is that not gonna happen?
Well, the county will make a determination of that. The issue is that we're proposing, as every other place in the county, a cap on the number of vacation rentals in the coastal zone and a cap on the number of vacation rentals on the inland zone, basically west or east of Highway 1. And the cap on vacation rentals in the coastal area is 100. Currently, there's 87 approximately.
Gotcha.
Okay. Ms. Lofgren.
Every time I've heard the other April be called, it caught my attention. So thank you, Ms. Lofgren. I just wanted to chime in and speak up real quick that yes, you're right. Right now, the county, the minor use permits for vacation rentals does indeed like go with the owner, basically. Well, not go with, but like if Mr. Perry was to leave his house, like the vacation rental permits wouldn't get to stick around with whoever the new buyer is. So that is like the current ordinance right now. So whether that changes in 30 years, that could happen. But it's really interesting to hear about the Oceano plans to do 8 rentals instead of 4. So thanks for that update. So yeah, thank you. And that's all.
Well, while you're here, Ms. Lofgren, we're not really clear who we submit this final proposed vacation ordinance to at the county planning department. Would that be you? Would that be?
You know, we have a person named Corey Hahn. He's kind of like our vacation rental guru. Corey is part of the long range planning team, and he's supervised by a man named Erlen Singwald. So I will send you both of their contacts. So when you send this, I would send it to Erlen and to both Corey, and they could help move that along for you guys.
All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah, they just finished up with Los Osos just a couple of weeks ago. Los Osos made some big changes in their ordinance too. So I think it's great. I think Mr. Perry is getting in at the right time before things might change. And it sounds like they could actually change for a great benefit, not only to the community, but to the vacation rental owners too.
We hope so.
Yeah.
We've had pretty positive response from vacation rental owners, and also just because, you know, we were the agency that was dealing with it, we got a lot of complaints, but they weren't kind of personal to us, but it's like issues of enforcement, issues of lack of code enforcement. How do you get that? Or and people that aren't taking care of their vacation rentals that give other vacation rental folks a bad name.
Yeah, exactly.
We've tried to document all of that in our report.
Do you, I imagine, do you need the link for the code enforcement? Because we have like a pretty easy way that people can submit now directly for vacation rentals. There's a phone number that can be called, and then also like an online form where people can put in their complaints right there.
Gosh, we didn't know about that. We'd love to put that on our website.
All right, I will prepare a little email package for you with some contacts. Let me get my precious Post-its real quick.
Okay,
Write this down to make sure I don't forget. All right, so contacts for Erlen and Corey, and then link for code enforcement.
And would that include people who aren't legitimate vacation rentals as well?
Yep. So whether if it's, you hear some people partying at 2 a.m. or people setting off fireworks on the beach, or vacation rentals that aren't permitted, there's actually a map. I'm going to write a note for that too, where you can easily type in the address of, any address that you're curious about to see whether or not it's a vacation rental, and it'll pop up and tell you if it has a permit for it or not. Yeah,
Thank you
that's
so much.
we have something called Permit Slow that actually is a really cool program where you can not only, besides vacation rentals, but let's say on your street you have someone down the road that's building a brand new garage and there's no signs posted about the construction. You can check in to see like, hey, is this garage permitted? And if it's not, then we have a special form that you can fill out too, for someone to go over there and to check it out. So there are lots of opportunities through the Permit Slow system to check in on things that you're just curious about in your community.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, because all of this stuff is supposed to be public record, and we definitely encourage everyone to give feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me,
Okay,
fellow April.
thank you. So I've got a queue of questions here, starting with Lucia, going to Aline, and then
Yes.
back to Mr. Perry.
Thank you. I actually had a Ms. Lofgren, are you now the new official liaison between us and the county?
I am not. I've actually, Cayucas has claimed me for their official liaison, but I do know that they're working to get someone reassigned to you all. So I can, in the meantime, yeah, feel free to email me and I can forward things along to whoever the appropriate person would. Right now, the supervisor from that team would be someone named Eric Hughes. So maybe I will include that on the contacts.
And I said again about Ortiz, what?
Eric Hughes, he would probably be the contact for a liaison right now. He's the supervisor from the team that was recently like your liaison for Oceano.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why are you in this meeting?
Oh, I'm here to represent the Perry project. I'm their project manager.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. And,
Yeah, of course.
and because of that project, I have a question. There is a note that says that you are particularly concerned with the unimproved county right of way in the alleyway to the north. The alley. You are concerned with the alley to the north of your property.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't say, they don't say, what concern is that?
So when we were doing the aerial viewing of the street, we noticed that in between the row of houses on York Ave and then the row of houses that's right behind York Ave, there was like this cement like driveway essentially. So we were curious about what that was. So we wanted to have an explanation for Public Works, and I'm pulling up their recommendation right now so I could see what they said. Okay. Proposed project is for a vacation rental permit at an existing single family dwelling with no construction involved. Based on data from the Institute of Traffic Engineers and other studies, on average, vacation rentals generate significantly less traffic. Okay, all right. For this reason, Public Works typically does not have any traffic-related concerns on vacation rentals. Regarding the alleyway at the rear of the lot, this alleyway, along with most other streets in the neighborhood, was declared a public street by the Board of Supervisors in 1905 as part of the Oceano Beach subdivision. While considered a public street, it has not been accepted into the county-maintained road system. Therefore, maintenance of the street is a responsibility of the fronting lot owners. Fronting lot owners and the public have the right of access along this alleyway, and any vehicle violations must be handled under vehicle code, which typically falls into law enforcement or code enforcement. And that is the end of their feedback. And this is something, if I haven't already posted it on their Permit Slow, I will put it on there for you guys to read it with your own eyes too, instead of just listening to me.
So I had understood that an alley is because I have property on alley myself, that the two property owners own all the way to the midline.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that it's actually not open to public driving, or if they wanted, they could actually close it. Is that true?
Let me click back to this real quick, make sure I'm understanding this correctly.
You're talking about the public access to the alley?
Do you mind if I share a screen real quick? So then,
I'd love to. So
yeah. So I know for me, it's easier for me to read with my own eyes and sometimes to hear people reading out loud. So I thought it might be best to share. Let's see. Okay. Oh, it looks like I cannot share screen while the other participant is sharing.
Okay, well, I will stop sharing.
Thank you. All right, share screen. And then we are right here, Public Works, share. Okay, can everyone see my Public Works comments?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
It's cut off on one side, or maybe that's just my screen, sorry.
It's just your screen, I think.
There we go, got it, sorry.
Okay. Technology. We're
I
getting
know.
through it. Okay, so it looks like while considered a public street, it has not been accepted into the county maintained road system. Therefore, maintenance of the street is responsibility of the fronting lot owners. So it does say that the public has the right of access along that alleyway. So I imagine it could be the same for you.
Yeah, okay, I see. They have, it doesn't say anything about who owns the alley.
Let's see. Yeah, that's a good question that I can check in on if you would like.
Because this, the Oceana Beach Community Association did a lot of work on the alleys in Oceano, cleanup, and we tried to figure out who is in charge of the alleys. So I see, yes, we knew that the owners are in charge of cleaning it and keeping, but it seems like unfair that it belongs to the county, but we are supposed to keep it clean and keep it available. I mean, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that is a very good point. So that's definitely too bad the Public Works people weren't still here on this meeting so they could chime in right now.
Yeah.
But that's definitely something that I can check in for you.
Yeah, please check in and email us back. Thank you.
Yes, can do.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Aline, you're next.
Yes, I thought I heard her say, or maybe I didn't hear correctly, that the permit did not go with the land once it was sold. I thought it did.
It doesn't, at least from my understanding, that if someone was to sell the house, the minor use permit doesn't just move on to the next owner.
No.
Oh, okay, so
It's
that
a
means,
land use permit, not an owner's use permit.
okay, the land, but the land use permit does go along with the land.
From my understanding, I thought that it didn't. Like if say for Mr. Perry's example, if the house was to sell, that the vacation rental permit for that wouldn't get to stay at the house. But that is another thing that I could check in on.
Yeah, that's very important, because when a person sells the vacation rental, if somebody else wants to buy it and they would have to make it a vacation rental, they would have to apply all over again, and the waiting and all that. I think that's majorly important in buying.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
And especially if there's a cap already.
Well, because besides the minor use permit, they also have to get a business license too.
Right.
Yes.
So what if I was to get the permit in like an S corp and I sold the S corp to the new owner?
That's a good question that I do not know the answer to. I'm sorry.
I really have no intentions of selling the property, but you never know what life is going to throw at us. So that does make a big benefit to the potential new buyers if there's a permit that's already approved.
That's something I'll check with Corey and see what he says.
Yeah.
Okay, April, April Dury, I'm gonna let you come in here because I think you have something specific on this specific topic.
I do actually. We're conflagrating the two issues. One is a minor use permit, which goes with the land. The other is a vacation rental permit and a business license permit. Those are by the owner. Those are different things. So if at my home, if the owners of this property wanted to have a circus here and they went through April's laughing, the permitting process for the land to be permitted to allow a circus, when this property is sold, the next owner is more than allowed to run a circus on it. They don't have to, but it has been permitted to allow a circus because of all the requirements that it goes for a minor use permit. If it's, within X amount of feet, what is it zoned for, the height requirement, all these things that the county will determine it is allowed to have the use for on the land. Once the circus is created on a minor use permit, the owner of the circus must then go to the county and get a business license to run a circus. They must also probably go to Health and Human Services to get a permit for the use of animals that are around people. Those are all different licensings and permits. The land use is the land use and it stays with the land. That's all I wanted to explain.
That was a beautiful explanation. Thank
Thank
you. That was very nice. I would come to your circus.
Thank you. I have one every day, promise.
We can invite all the Aprils of the county.
And so any other questions, comments here? Anything else from the public? Okay, well then, hearing none, Ms. Lofgren, if you would unshare, and we will, I'll entertain, is there any further discussion from council members on this permit? April?
I wanted to go back and I had said that I would find how many vacation rentals are already on York, and not counting this one because it quote unquote hasn't been approved yet. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vacation rentals already on York. And when you look at York, it has roughly 6 or 7 houses. So this would be yet one more. And I know that this is not a neighborhood where bread and butter, meat and potatoes people are raising their families day to day, in, day and out. I get that. But I just want us to be cognizant that this is an area where there are very few houses and almost all of them are vacation rentals at this point.
Right. Well, that's why we're coming up with a vacation rental ordinance in part. Any other comments?
Yeah, I could add something. On the street, the other people that own the property, which I know, we're very familiar and we talk to our neighbors. The gentleman across the street, they've owned the house for many years, which we're good friends. And the neighbor next to him is like, I believe it's a long-term rental, or maybe no one's even there because the property is not being taken care of. And then I want to say, what is it? East of us, there's a long-term investor. The house just sits vacant. And the next house next door to us, they're a vacation rental, but majority of the houses are just vacant if they're not being rented. So I think it's good that people are in there and enjoying the environment and the ocean and just keeping an eye on the neighborhood. I think that's no offense, but I think that's one of the nicest neighborhoods on the whole block. And I'm very anal and I go by and I pick up trash, I pick weeds for neighbors, and I want to help the community get better. And the streets are horrible and I don't know how to go about it, but I think we need to get the streets taken care of. There's a big liability there. There's cracks, there's dips, there's holes, and people walk up and down those streets every day. And there's a big problem. And I ran into the county guy and he's saying that they can't be ADA compliant, so they're never going to fix the streets. And to be ADA compliant, you're going to have to tear down houses to get the proper distance and wheelchair access. And so there's more issues. And I want to help those issues. So
Yeah.
more or less, I'm not just going to rent the property. I'm going to be part of the community and help get that community looking a lot nicer.
Well,
Can I
we're on the same page there.
ask a quick question then, Justin?
Sure.
When you say that, will this be your primary residence where you will be voting from?
No,
Okay, so the people who will live or who will rent from you will not be voting in our area, will not go to city council meetings, will not be going to Oceano Advisory Council meetings, will not know if the neighbor's dog ran away and what to look for, correct? I mean, you won't be living there. These people will be for the majority of the time, correct?
I wouldn't say majority of the time. We're there every couple weeks.
Okay,
And then my neighbor is very engaged and
right, but I'm just talking about you and your property and your involvement. And if you are going to be a registered voter,
I'm not going to be a registered voter. No.
okay, that's perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hopefully someday my wife and us kids can get over there. That's where our hearts are at. And, but no, I'm not a registered voter.
I totally understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the Perry vacation rental permit application.
Okay. I move that we approve the Perry
Please.
vacation rental application.
Are you seconding it, Aline?
I thought he wanted someone to.
She made the motion.
Oh, I
Aline made
thought
the
Charles made
motion.
it. Okay.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion. Okay, then I'll call the question. I'll do a roll call. April,
No,
Lucia,
I abstain.
Aline.
Yes.
Okay, chair votes yes.
I'm confused how Lucia is abstaining in something she absolutely participated in conversation about. I'm very confused on that.
Excuse me,
I asked the chair.
Chair, what was the question?
So the comment was, you participated in lengthy discussions about the project. Why are you abstaining from making a decision?
Are the two things in contradiction? Participating and then one has to vote yes or no?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I'm just the messenger.
I abstain because I have my own reasons. What, April? Do I have to?
Well, did you want to?
Because people abstain when there's a conflict of interest. So do you have a conflict of interest? Like, do you own property that is adjacent to this
Oh.
property?
No,
Are you part of the Perry family?
No.
Then
Oh,
are you gonna make any
okay.
financial gain?
April, I think that, so she wants to abstain
that's it.
and, but
What does it mean to
that's
abstain?
her right.
Yeah, it's my right to abstain and I don't have to have a reason to tell you.
Wow.
Okay, so the motion passes 2-1. And Mr. Perry, we always welcome good neighbors in Oceano.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lofgren, for attending.
Yes, thank you, April, and we will definitely be in contact to get this information.
I will prepare all this for you guys tomorrow.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right. Thank you so much for having us, and it was nice to meet you.
You as well.
Very much.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Okay, so moving on, what's our next agenda item? We're back to the
We were-
donation for
Yes, the
Oceano
OAC
Elementary
donation.
School. Okay, so at our last meeting, we discussed the possibility of making a donation to the Oceano Elementary School PTA to use in their, the enhanced activities that they supply to the kids through that funding. And we agreed to agendize it for this meeting this evening. So I would like to propose that we, just to kind of get this thing going here, that we donate $100 to Oceano Elementary School PTA from our treasury. on behalf of their, this 22-23 fundraising effort that they have put together to enhance the educational experience of the kids at the school.
Is that the motion?
That's a motion.
I approve, I second it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I would first like to know if anybody's going to discuss this and then abstain from voting. I'd like to know that in advance.
What's that?
No, good, we're good then.
What, I didn't
I
understand.
would like to say $500. I would like us to have a banner. That's what I would like for us to do.
You would like to make it $500? That's what you said?
Yes, that's what she said.
How much money
For
do we
the-
have?
So
We
if
don't
she,
I think that's a bit
you
too.
finish, so Lucia, here's everything. I'm asking for $500 so that we have a banner on the fencing that says Oceano Advisory Council that people drive by every day, multiple times. That's why I'm saying $500. And you actually get 2 banners because one of my clients is thinking about doing this. And I read the flyer from Oceano PTA and it's 2 banners.
Mhm. Okay. I think currently we have, just rounding it, I think about $1,800 in the treasury.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, given that we don't have any funding coming into us, I'm a
We can have
little,
$500 in tomorrow if you'd like.
huh?
We can have $500 in there tomorrow if you'd like.
How would that happen?
I'd be more than happy to donate $500 for the sole purpose of it being used for banners for the PTA donation.
Well, that's wonderfully generous of you. And is there any resistance to
Well,
doing that?
if we do 100, April only has to put in 400.
Well, that's kind. Thank you, Lucia.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm willing to put in
You
50.
get t-shirts,
That's
you-
good, April. That's nice of you. I'll pitch in 50.
Okay. So me 350, Lucia 50, the OAC, well, we're giving it to the OAC, and then the OAC with their additional 100 would be
Great.
the banner.
Well, it would be, the OAC would put in 350.
Right, but the whole goal is for the OAC to have banners.
Right, and this, I was just gonna clarify that even with the individual contributions, it will be for
Okay.
the OAC.
Correct.
Yes, so it means that April, you'll give me a check for or whatever. You give me 350. I'll give myself a 50, and I will put that into our account, right?
Perfect. And then the OAC on the above board, OAC writes the check, OAC makes the donation, OAC gets the banners.
Well, that's wonderful.
So I make a motion that we either have to vote on the 100 or the person who made the motion needs to withdraw it.
I withdraw my motion. Go
I
ahead.
make a motion that we approve a $500 expenditure after the $400 deposit tomorrow to go towards the Oceano PTA for the banner level of whatever it is, donation, participation, whatever it is, $500 to the Oceano PTA.
Okay, I think you misspoke there. You said there'll be a $400 donation tomorrow.
Yes.
I said, after our deposits, the OAC will write a check for $500 for the donation. For the banners, for the whatever you want to call it. Make the motion then, Charles, if you don't like mine. Make it. I don't care.
Well, no, I'm not, that's not that. I just wanted it to be clear.
The deposit is gonna be the 350 from April and the 50 from me. You see, okay?
That's not the motion. though. We're making a deposit. The motion is the OAC will donate $500 to the Oceano PTA for banner level donation, whatever you want to call it, sponsorship.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Woo, we get banners on the schoolyard. That's awesome.
Well, that's really wonderful and very generous. And thank you very much.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's great, April.
Mhm,
Awesome.
mhm.
Cool.
Yeah. This,
All right.
they're gonna be so excited at the PTA. And
Yeah.
Really well.
mhm,
And we get banners, but the school gets the bulk of that money because the donations that the banners are getting made under is the bigger picture. So for sure.
right, right.
That's awesome.
Okay. I think we're moving on to old business now. And
Um,
I'm
the-
aging as we speak.
yes, the OAC candidate forum was next on old business. Is there really anything to discuss outside of we're having it on Monday, the 24th at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom? We've put out flyers everywhere. We've put it on the Facebook page, the website, any other places I don't know about. I personally have requested that VACO put the word out through an email to Karen White. Of course, there was resistance and they will not promote it. But despite that, we obviously are doing everything we're doing. It's up all kinds of places. It's in the library. It's at Ruchi's or Halcyon Farm. I know it's at the post office. It's multiple places. Like the Oceano Library and the regular library. I'm sorry, the AG library.
Has anybody approached OCSD?
I have.
Uh-huh.
And so I've approached OCSD to put it on their Facebook page, and Carrie will get back to me. They contacted the county to see if it'll fly, and she said she'd get back to me by tomorrow.
Okay.
I contacted her today to see where it was at. She said she thinks she's going to get she should get an answer by tomorrow. She should, because it's Friday.
All right.
So and it is. I did put it on like 4 different Facebook pages, and I did go to the Strand and put it on the Strand. So it's out there all over the place.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Both candidates participating would be the ultimate goal, and both are absolutely welcome. So the next item, there's really no voting or decision on that, is Curbs, Gutters, and Sidewalks Task Force. Charles?
There's really no update from last week. I think just reiterate that the Safe Routes to Schools Committee at Oceano Elementary School did add on to their Safe Routes to School plan a community project of completing the sidewalk so that they'll be completing the sidewalk on Highway 1 north of the overpass, so that there will be a complete sidewalk to Pier Avenue, and then there's a complete sidewalk on Pier Avenue, the south side of Pier Avenue, to the beach, and also a request for a pedestrian control crosswalk on Highway 1, and they're going to be moving forward with that. Next item.
Thank you. Is the vacation rental ordinance update?
Okay, so the
Don, wake up.
the vacation rental ordinance has been updated. Holly got it up on the website this morning, and I can see if I can. Let me see if I can share my screen. I can go back here. Just give me a sec here. I might be able to do this, or I might not. Okay, can you see our website now?
Yes, and I'm on it as well.
Okay, so just scrolling down here, here's the latest 2022 draft Oceano Vacation Rental Ordinance posted today and download. And so in going, basically all of the changes are in bold. This is just a kind of a holding paragraph here, but basically pointing out that the issue of code enforcement is one that is much bigger than just Oceano. It's countywide. And we got a lot of feedback on code enforcement in our public hearings, and kind of putting the onus onto the county to revise and upgrade these issues around enforcement for vacation rentals in unincorporated areas. And I'm not going to go. So here we have the talking about the number of vacation rentals currently. Here's the provision for no more than 30 vacation rental permits in the inland zone, and down here no more than 100 total, and existing permits will no more in the coastal zone, and existing permits will be expired at the time of transfer of ownership. Again, and then that language is incorporated into the actual ordinance itself, using the language until the property ownership is transferred, at which time the vacation rental permit will be terminated. So transfer can be sold or passed on to heirs, but used a more general language. And here's where we changed it from shall not exceed 8 individual tenancies per year, and that all the provisions of Title 23 shall apply to Title 22, A through N exclusively. And these are all the conditions for vacation rentals in the coastal zone, all the way down through M and N, and O was left out because this applies specifically to the coastal zone, the 100 total there. So those are the changes that as far as I understand are the changes that we were willing to make based on our input from the community and from our discussions. So this is where it currently stands. Are there any comments from any council members or from the public? Sean, welcome to the meeting. Do you have anything you want to share?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Varney, and I really appreciate you navigating to that document because I was having trouble locating it today. So I will be sure to review it. What I see looks like kind of what was discussed, but we'll definitely take time to review it. So thank you again. That was going to be my question: is where do I find it?
Where the heck is it? Okay. So any support or assistance you can give us in spreading the word out on this, Mr. Johnson? I mean, I think we haven't tried to. Our intent all along has been to publicize this widely, and we definitely got some pushback on that last week, and hope that people knowing that this is where it lives and the current document is up here will be helpful to everybody, and we will have this agendized for both of our November meetings with the intent to be at our second meeting in November to vote this up or down.
Very good. I'll be sure to communicate that to Marcia over at our property management firm, and she obviously has contact with a lot more vacation owners. I was a little disappointed to see Mr. Perry leave the meeting. He could have benefited from this as well. So I may take a walk around the block and see if I can get him to engage as well.
Yeah. Well, he sounds like would be the kind of person who would like to.
I think so too. Yep.
All right. Any other comments? Okay, then we'll move on. April.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at something else. Program to remove abandoned or inoperable vehicles.
Okay, I don't have anything new to share on that from last week. But I think that it is certainly it's something that will next month they'll make sure, and I'll give Commander Klingenberg a heads up, but the Highway Patrol would be pretty essential in terms of if it was an issue of identifying inoperable cars or abandoning cars on streets. The CHP is basically in charge of that. But what we're talking about is voluntarily people coming forward and saying, yeah, I want to get this old car out of my front yard. And so that's kind of pretty much where we're at with it. So I was going to be looking into if there are other companies that also wanted to offer that free service. And I just haven't been able to do that in the last 7 days. So I will be able to get that done before our next meeting in September. Any other comments?
Not on that issue, no.
Okay. Moving along.
Sorry. The next thing is updates and action items, followed by the various reports.
Okay. Any updates or anything else? Okay, then we have report from the Oceana Beach Community Association, Lucia. Okay, nothing to report.
Yeah, no, nothing to report from last week.
Okay, thank you. Oceana Community Services District, Director Villa.
Nothing to report. I haven't had a meeting. It was canceled.
Okay. Any new items for the next agenda?
The treasurer,
Treasurer's report.
I'm sorry.
The treasurer's report.
Oh, I'm sorry, treasurer report, yes.
yeah, nothing new. We have still $1,767.36.
Anything else?
Future agenda items. I would like to revisit the bylaws and Article 10.
Okay. So you'll be the lead on that?
Sure.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, everyone needs to go look at it so that they're aware of what it is.
Okay.
Article 10, okay?
Yes.
So well, I can be happy to cut and paste it into the that article into the agenda.
Perfect.
If you like. Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. All right, everybody.
I'm sorry. I am now seeing there's something in chat. Did anybody see that? Oh, sorry. It was the counties thanking us. Sorry.
Okay.
I thought maybe it was some important message like last week.
Okay. Well, Lucia, safe travels for you. Everybody else. We'll see.
I try to participate. So we're going to have a vote finally on the second meeting in November. So
Yes.
I'll zoom in.
Okay. Already good. All right.
Great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. I make a motion that we adjourn.
All right. Second.
Second.
I
All right.
Aye.
thank
Okay.
everyone. Thank
Aye.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Aye.